the more podcasts you listen to, the more books you read on Bitcoin, the more opinions you seek, the deeper work that you do, the more comfortable you feel with Bitcoin. And that usually leads to a higher allocation, whether it's through the natural accretion in price of Bitcoin over time, or alternatively being proactive and actually selling assets to get greater exposure.
That's actually something we don't talk enough about, the importance of getting the people around you on board. And it's a hard thing, like, because you don't want to push it on someone. There has to be some kind of motivation from that person, no matter if it's your wife, a friend of yours, a good friend of yours, your dad, your son, your whatever the 10 closest people in your social circle are. You benefit a lot more from Bitcoin if they also understand Bitcoin, and it's not just you, not just because you in a wife situation you can buy more Bitcoin if she's also on board, like that's like a very obvious one. But even like if you think about the world we are moving in, and if they save in like bonds and some S&P 500 plus some cash, and you have like Bitcoin strategy and like stretch, like your balance sheet is just like so much supercharged against them. So you will probably outperform them by such a great margin. And I feel like there is almost like a small obligation that we as humans have to lift up our neighbors, to lift up our family, to lift up our friends, and help them in any way, shape, or form we can. And so if you have that like deep insider information about Bitcoin, I think we have kind of an obligation to at least show them, or at least educate them, at least be there for them when it comes to Bitcoin, which can be hard. I see that, but like I think we don't talk about that enough, like orange pilling your closest social circle.
And the reason why we don't, I think, is because it's very difficult. There's a Bible passage that says a prophet has no honor in his hometown. It's often hardest for those closest to us to hear a message that's helpful for them. And I think as a Bitcoiner, we all suffer from that. Like, you've got a podcast, you've interviewed just about every person in Bitcoin of import, and I dare say you still have people in your close circles who don't listen to you about Bitcoin. And
I do.
I have that too. So I'm not bringing that up to say, hey, we can all do a better job. But this is one of the funny things about what we do with our work at the Bitcoin Advisor. A lot of people think that we are there to support the Bitcoiner in securing their Bitcoin. And that couldn't be further from the truth. The Bitcoiners we work with, they all know how to secure their Bitcoin. They come to us because we help their partners get comfortable with them securing their Bitcoin. And that to me is a huge unlock, when the partner realizes that their partner, their husband, their wife, whoever it might be, is sensible and has a team around them to support them, that they can't lose their Bitcoin. Then, and this is part of the great fun that I have with clients, this is part of the real juice in what I do, is I get to talk to clients, I get to meet their families, and then just through spending time through osmosis with them, we get comfortable with each other, and it ultimately leads to the client being able to purchase more Bitcoin because they understand that they've got a team around them. The non-Bitcoiners in the family now have a resource that they can call on if anything happens to the family member who's the Bitcoiner. And more importantly, the Bitcoiner in the family gets to hold more Bitcoin because everyone's comfortable with the transaction and the investment. And that's for me part of the real fun, that community that is Bitcoin. We get to, I think, work with the best people in the world.
It's such an interesting thing. Like, I love your message also because it's so positive. And I see it here and there from some Bitcoiners that paint a very dark picture of like what fiat brings to us and all of those things. So how do you actually look at the world that we are kind of moving in, knowing what you know about the fiat system, knowing about what you know about the monetary system, the political system that is influenced by the monetary system, and the hope that Bitcoin kind of brings? Because I like your hopeful and optimistic outlook. I sometimes miss that in Bitcoiner circles. I sometimes hear Bitcoiners come up to me and say like they're concerned about the world we're going into because like the fiat system and all those bad things that come from that. If you live in Europe like I do and want to buy Bitcoin the right way, check out Relay. Relay is a Bitcoin-only platform with no distractions, no shitcoins, just a BTC. It's also the easiest way I've found to do what actually works, buying Bitcoin on a consistent basis. Relay is also self-custodial. They never have the keys to your Bitcoin. No freezing of your assets, no counterparty risk, no rug pulling whatsoever. I have been a long-term fan of Relay, not only because it's incredible, easy to use and very beginner friendly, but also because it just works. If you want to get started with Relay today, click the link down in the pinned comment or in the description. And once you have downloaded the app, type in Robin in the referral code section of the app to save 10% on fees. So set up your DCA Bitcoin plan today with the Relay app and get cheaper Bitcoin if you use code Robin. With microseed, you can engrave your 12 or 24 word seed phrase, the entire seed phrase, onto a 1-inch small washer. Yes, just one washer. All 24 words on that one washer. You can hide that thing everywhere. And even better, you don't need to buy a new kit every time you have to get a new wallet. You can make unlimited backups because microseed is not selling the washer. Microseed is selling the device that stamps the washer. So you get the full kit with the device, with the washers, with the hammer, with everything you need to get started today. And you can make with that unlimited amount of backups. Go now to microseed.io. Finally, we have BTC Prague back in 2026. And this year, I'm not only speaking on a panel, but I'm actually going to present an interesting new angle, a perspective, a Bitcoin thesis at BTC Prague this year for the first time ever. I've never done that on any other conference, so this will be a fun one. If you listen to the show on a regular basis, I would love to meet you in Prague this year. It's very high signal, no noise, and Prague is just a freaking amazing city with awesome drinks and a lot of good food. Use code Robin to get 10% off, and if you buy with Bitcoin, you get an additional 5% off your ticket price. I'll see you there in Prague. Make sure to come say hi.
That's a very good point, but I think it comes down to, how do you want to live? Do you want to live with an optimistic outlook? Do you want to be hopeful for the future? Do you want to think that humanity is going to be better off in the future? The only way to do that, I think, is to buy Bitcoin and then help others buy Bitcoin, because that's a saving grace for us. And this is where maybe focusing on the light rather than the dark when it comes to what's coming. There's a time and a place for the dark, and I think everyone will learn what's coming at their own time. But to me, what Bitcoin offers is the opportunity to be financially free. And this is where I dare say the reason and the work, why we work so hard on Talk About Bitcoin and trying to get our loved ones, family, friends, and anyone who listen to us into Bitcoin, is because it offers a hopeful future for everyone. And the reason we can say that is because we've been beneficiaries of that. And I think part of the reason, if you look at, say, just from a psychological perspective, when it comes to us and Bitcoin, we've been the beneficiaries of, say, watching the price of Bitcoin go up and benefiting from that. And we want those around us, the ones that we love and, that we cherish. We want those people around us to benefit from what we've benefited from. And if we can get our friends and family onto the treadmill of just buying and holding Bitcoin and holding it for an extended period of time, to me, that is the fastest way for us to level up our personal communities up through that Maslow's needs hierarchy and hopefully to self-actualization in the fastest way possible.
I like that. And especially now in those times, I mean, we mentioned it briefly in the beginning. I think this dip that we are currently living in is one of the biggest opportunities I've seen in Bitcoin, I think, since I started. I started exactly also in an interesting opportunity area in 2020 when it crashed down to, I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000, something like that, after the COVID thing. And that's actually like right around when I started. Like I think the first bought was like 5,000-6,000 per coin, which was an amazing buying opportunity. And was amazing because like you bought and like most it has gone up afterwards that. I mean, 2021, then there was a huge crash from like, I don't know, 69 to like 16,000, which was obviously hard for a lot of Bitcoiners. But I think this right here represents like the biggest opportunity I've seen since the 2021 crash, which kind of is funny because if you think about how much more mature and how much more accepted, how much better Bitcoin currently is against like the 3, 4, 5 years ago, it's huge. Like it's a true opportunity for people.
Yet here we are with a negative sentiment around Bitcoin. We're trading at 75 to 80,000 US a coin. You know, what's changed since now and 5 years ago? Well, the price was circa, what was it, 15,500 5 years ago. It's now sitting 5 times higher than that. We now have regulatory approval from the US. We're no longer sitting under Damocles' sword thinking that one hair hanging onto the sword could fall on our head at any time and the SEC could just wipe Bitcoin or try and kill it. We've seen China try and ban it multiple times. They haven't been able to. They've banned Bitcoin mining. It literally halved the network in a period of less than 3 days, and Bitcoin still resolved and won. It kept working as advertised. It just was a little bit slow for 3 weeks. What we've seen over the last 5 years is a completely different beast to what we had 5 years ago when it comes to Bitcoin. And I guess back to this beautiful nature of humans, we're never satisfied.
Yeah, I guess that's the case. I don't know. Like you reach higher points and you're like, oh, that's not enough. Oh, you reach higher points. Oh, that's like, I'm not satisfied. Like I still feel it's actually interesting. Like you've built a business and like I'm at the very start of my whole journey. But I've reached every year and I'm now in the 3rd year, a higher level. Like almost every quarter has been better than the previous one. And I still feel it the same feeling, the same kind of weird, unsatisfied thing that I felt like before I even started. They were like, oh, I want that, and like, oh, I got that, now I want that, oh, I got that, now I want that, oh, I got that, and now I want that. It's like it's a weird psychology. Like it's hard to step back and say, hey, I have enough. And I think a lot of Bitcoiners feel like that with their stack, that they buy their first 0.1 Bitcoin and they're like, oh, that's amazing. But now I want 0.5. Then they have 0.5 and they're like, okay, now I want to have a whole coin. Then they have like 1.2 coins. And then they're like, I want to have 10 coins. Like I want to be a Satoshi billionaire. Like, I want to have like this and that. And like, oh, 10 coins. Why don't I have 50 coins? And at some point you have to say like, hey, maybe we relax. Maybe it's you have a good enough stack. Like give your family some time. Like whatever it is, like whatever you want to do. But I don't know. I think it's hard for Bitcoiners to say, hey, that's a good amount. Like I think enough is enough.
Someone tell that to Sailor.
Yeah, like, he's going for 1 million. Like that's crazy.
It's good to see, and this is congratulations on being human. This is what it is to be human. We want more. We want to do better. We want to strive, and this is why I guess we're the apex predator of Earth. And Bitcoin represents a very fair competition. It's fair from a Bitcoin mining perspective. It's fair from a Bitcoin accumulation perspective. If you're smart, if you're ahead of the curve, if you have the ability to buy Bitcoin and hold on to it, that will serve you really well through time. But a lot of people don't understand what this is. A lot of people are too lazy to put the work in to really understand it. And then, this is the game that all Bitcoiners play. They want to buy Bitcoin and they want more and more Bitcoin, and they don't want to sell it. And this is where, this move to, I guess, the institutionalization of Bitcoin, the collateralization of Bitcoin, and, big banks being able to custody it allows for more and more Bitcoiners to never sell their Bitcoin.
I recently got the question, like I think it was actually in Vegas, someone came up to me and like he asked me if I measure my net worth in Bitcoin. And I have a funny answer for that. I'm curious how you think about that. I measure my net worth in time. So I have literally like an Excel sheet where I track way too often how much my liquid net worth is, and like Bitcoin with the strategy shares and all of those things. And then at the end, there's a column saying like the number, and then I have another column saying how much I roughly need to live per month. And then I divide those two numbers, and then there's a month number coming out. Like how many months could I live just from my liquid net worth? And this is how I define wealth. It's not about one having like, oh, like if you have one Bitcoin, you're like doing amazing, or if you have only 0.1 Bitcoin, you're doing bad, because it depends also like what is your monthly, like if you live in India, the Bitcoin you need is a lot different if you live in like New York City. There's like two very different stacks you need to like be wealthy. And so I like to look at how many months of living I have, and look that as like my wealth status. Now the question, and I don't know if you have a formula or like some framework to think about that. How many months do you think is enough for a human being to say, like, that's a good amount of stack? Like how many months of liquid net worth, of runway of your expenses, if you just have it in Bitcoin, is a thing that like, if I hit that number, like I'm really like fine, maybe not retired, but like I'm feeling really secure and nice, and this is a great way of like finally and have a number where I'm like, my stack is enough.
I'd say 84 months.
Which is like 7 years.
7 years.
That's amazing. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a number where you think? I was just like asking if that is a number where you say like you could potentially even retire because you have such a long stack that the appreciation of Bitcoin might go up enough for you to have like endless months in the end of it.
That's exactly right. I think, one of our advisors, Hats, does a great job. He talks about being able to spend 10% of your Bitcoin every year, and basically that'll never run out. So 7 years, I think, is a little bit higher than that, but that 84 months would give you a really good runway. And I think, particularly if you're starting from now, that would be a really great way to do it, because I don't think you'll ever run out of Bitcoin, particularly with, I think, the gains that we're going to have over the next 2 or 3 years. I think by 2030 we could have a 10x return from here, and then all of a sudden you'll need to up that monthly spend to come anywhere close to spending all your Bitcoin in your lifetime.
I like that way because I like to measure things in time. I don't know, like if you also do that, but like I like to measure things in like how many months do I have, how many years do I have. If everything goes bust right now, like this second, how many days, months, weeks, years? But hopefully it's years. You have left to live without spending anything.
Yeah, it's a great way to look at it, and this is where I guess the introduction of Bitcoin has really created a great awareness for you around how important time is, and that's the ultimate commodity.
Yeah, time is huge. One thing I just came to my mind is gold also. I was massively surprised by gold. The development of gold in the last year, I was massively surprised by what gold did. What, first of all, like, were you also surprised? And second, like, what does this mean for Bitcoin and overall the financial system, that gold did so much better than I think most people thought, except maybe Peter Schiff?
Good on Peter. He had a great year last year. It's nice to see him get 1 in 17. I think gold, to me, the important thing about what we saw with gold over the last, say, 12 to 18 months is you can have an asset class, like a huge asset class, $20 trillion asset class, go up 50, 60, 70% in a year and still look cheap. Now, what that looks like to me is when we convert it to Bitcoin, Bitcoin can go up 10x from here and still look cheap. If Bitcoin did a $12 trillion gain in 1 year, that would effectively be a 10x in a year. And it's possible with gold. Why isn't it possible with Bitcoin? And this is where I look at a whole host of things. But gold is ultimately a commodity. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with what's happened to the diamond industry.
The what industry?
The diamond, the shiny things.
My English is not good enough for that word, I think.
Oh, diamonds. Like
diamonds. Oh, diamonds. Oh, super. Ah, sorry. Yeah, diamonds. Yeah, now I got it.
Have you seen what's happened to the diamond market?
I mean, I'm aware that there are artificial diamonds that you basically can't distinguish from the real ones because they're so good. Like they're lab grown, like the lab grown ones, not the plastic on the lab grown ones, which I imagine crashed the price of the real ones.
Well, yeah, and this is only we need to fact check this. So this is only fiction, but I did hear that De Beers was for sale, or one of the major diamond companies was for sale. They did not get a single bid. No one wanted to buy them. Why is that? Because they're producing basically lab-grown diamonds that are just as good as the real thing for next to nothing. And I look at that and you pair that with the innovation in AI and think, how long before we figure out how to reproduce gold?
The first thing that every Bitcoiner does, and the most important activity that every Bitcoiner keeps on doing, is buying Bitcoin. And I personally use Relay to buy and sometimes also spend or sell my Bitcoin. And there are two main reasons why I do so. The first one is it's Bitcoin only. They do not do any shit coins. They do not do any cryptos, any stocks or anything else. This is a tool, an app that is fully focused only and solely on Bitcoin. The second one is self-custody. They give you the keys to your Bitcoin the moment you buy them. You never give them the control over your Bitcoin, and you don't have to trust them because you can verify that you and only you have the keys to your Bitcoin. There's no third-party risk. There's no freezing of your assets. There's no rug pulling. There's nothing of that. Download Relay, the app, on your phone, or go to relay.app on your browser and use code Robin to save fees and get cheaper Bitcoin. I want to tell you about something very special to me. It's called micro-seed. If you hold your Bitcoin in self-custody, and you should, you know how critical it is to secure your seed phrase. You should not have them on paper. You should not have them on anything else than titanium. With micro-seed, you can engrave your 12 or 24 word seed phrase, the entire seed phrase, onto a 1-inch small washer. Yes, just one washer. All 24 words on that one washer. You can hide that thing everywhere. And even better, you don't need to buy a new kit every time you have to get a new wallet. You can make unlimited backups because microseed is not selling the washer. Microseed is selling the device that stamps the washer. So you get the full kit with the device, with the washers, with the hammer, with everything you need to get started today, and you can make with that unlimited amount of backups. Go now to microseed.io.